Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another Planetarium show. My name is Jessica. I'm the director of the Planetarium, and we've got quite a few people with me tonight. I will let them all say hi and introduce themselves, and we'll start with probably the familiar face, Eli. Jenna? So tonight, since we are just about to October, we are going to do our What's Up October edition and take a look at the astronomical events that are going on throughout the month. We've actually got quite a few things to talk about, which is pretty cool. And then there's also a few newsy special event things that are happening in October as well that I thought we'd talk about. As always, if you have any questions throughout the show tonight, feel free to leave them down in the comments. Eli is going to be keeping an eye on that and will let me know if questions come through. And with that, let me real quick. Oh, what? Nope, I was presenting for you guys so that you can see what's going on. And then we're going to hide. Nope. I swear, I've totally been doing this for a year and a half and know what I'm doing. Okay, okay. Present. There we go. All right. It's a little bit more complicated when I share for everyone on Zoom to be able to see as well. But I did not change the main slide. Anyway, we're going to skip past that. It's October. It's the October edition show, not September. All right, so first off, we're going to talk about what the moon is doing this month. We are starting out this month on October 6th with the new moon. Then about a week later on October 12th, we'll have the first quarter. About a week after that, on October 20th, we will have the full moon. This month's full moon is known as the Hunter's Moon. And then on October 28th, we have our third quarter moon. And you can see here for each of the phases, the moon does rise at different times, rises and sets at different times. That all just depends on where the moon is in its orbit around the Earth. And this is why we can see the moon up during the day part of the time, and the rest of the time we see it up at night, just depending on which phase we're in. All right, well, let's take a look at what the planets are doing this month. This is going to be a pretty good month to see Venus. Venus is still hanging out over in the southwestern sky just after sunset. Venus is actually approaching the furthest edge of its orbit, which is what we call the greatest elongation. And this will happen on October 29th, so end of the month. And this is going to be when Venus is the furthest from the sun, and so it's going to be kind of the best viewing since it is furthest from the sun. But basically, all month, go out, look to the southwest right after sunset, and the first bright point you'll see there is going to be the planet Venus. Now, once the sun has set, we'll be able to see a few other planets. Jupiter and Saturn are still hanging out with us in the southern sky. They will be visible once it gets dark until about 1 or 2 a.m. And here you can see on October 14th, the moon is going to be paying a visit to the two planets there. Now, if you have a pair of binoculars or a small telescope, two other planets are going to be visible throughout the night as well, Uranus and Neptune. Now, these are not visible to the naked eye. You do have to have a telescope or something to see them. And when you look at them through a telescope, you'll see that there'll be little small circles, definitely not pinpoints of light like stars look like, but definite circles. And you may even notice they have a bluish tint to them because the planets themselves are bluer in color. And they will be visible, they will be up once it is dark, again, till pretty early in the morning. The best time to try and see them, though, would be the first half of the month, because that means the moon isn't going to be nearby. And when the moon's nearby, the moon itself is pretty bright, and that can actually make it more difficult to find these planets. Now, Mars is still hanging out with the sun, so we can't see it right now. But if we head on to the morning sky, Mercury is going to start making an appearance just before sunrise over in the east in the second half of the month. And in fact, October 25th, it's going to be at its greatest elongation, and that's going to be its furthest point from the sun on this side of its orbit. So that's going to be the best time to try and see it, would be around October 25th, just before sunrise over in the east. You'll see that little point of light, which will be the planet Mercury. And that is our planets for this month. So we're able to see almost all of them at some point throughout the month, except for Mars. Mars is still hanging out with the sun. All right, moving on, we do actually have a couple of meteor showers happening this month. So meteor showers occur when the Earth passes through this debris trail left behind by comets. Comets are big balls of ice, but they also have rock and dust and things mixed in with that ice. So when they swing in close to the sun and that ice starts to vaporize, it carries a bunch of dust and debris with it, and that gets kind of strewn about along the comet's orbit. So as we pass through this debris trail, all of these little pieces of dust then fall through our atmosphere, and they heat up and they glow, and that's what creates that streak of light that we call a meteor. So meteor showers are named for the constellation that the meteors appear to be streaming from. And so the first meteor shower of this month is going to be the Draconids. Now these typically run, or the Draconids are going to be running from October 6th to October 10th, with the peak happening on October 7th. They will appear to be originating from the constellation of Draco, although it's actually best not to look directly at it. You want to look more to the sides to be able to catch that trail of light as it's passing through, as that debris is falling through the atmosphere. This meteor shower is thanks to comet 21P Giacobini-Zinner. I am probably butchering that name, but it is a comet that was discovered in the year 1900. The Draconids are a bit of an unusual shower. Typically, you want to observe meteor showers after midnight. This is one that you actually need to see in the early evening. So if you're not someone who likes to stay up late, this could be a really good meteor shower for you, because basically you just need to wait for the sun to set and for it to get dark. We are going to be having this meteor shower around the new moon phase, so you're not going to have the moon to interfere with your view. However, this is more of a minor meteor shower, so you would only expect up to about 10 meteors per hour. Then, later in the month, we have the Orionids. These run all the way from October 2nd to November 7th. But they peak the night of October 21st. They're called the Orionids because they appear to originate from around the constellation of Orion. And this is a more traditional meteor shower where you do want to wait until after midnight, early morning, to be able to see the meteors. This is an average meteor shower, so you would expect up to about 20 meteors per hour. Unfortunately, though, we are going to have the very bright, nearly full moon around this time, which is going to drown out most of the light from most of the meteors, except for the very brightest of meteors. So we may not really be able to see much going on, unfortunately, during this meteor shower. You may also notice that there is another meteor shower nearby, the Epsilon Geminids, and I wasn't planning on talking about this one because this is a truly minuscule meteor shower with, I don't even think calling it a meteor shower is appropriate. You get like maybe 1 or 2 meteors per hour. So not really something to get excited about. The Orionids, however, could be a decent show. We'll see how much the moon affects that. And again, that is the night of October 21st into the early morning of October 22nd. All right, so those are our astronomical events. So moving on to a couple of other cool things that are happening this month. This one's not necessarily good news, but for 2 weeks at the beginning of October, we're actually going to be losing communication with our rovers and robots on Mars. And this happens because during this time period, Mars is going to be at opposition. That means it's going to be directly opposite the sun. So any signals that we try and send could, there could be interference that happens as it passes near the sun, and that could cause our communications, the signals to become, I don't want to say damaged, but to be interrupted. And so the rovers that receive the signal may only receive partial instructions, which could lead to something going wrong. So basically for 2 weeks, from October 2nd to October 16th, we are just not going to be talking to our rovers on Mars, and they're just going to kind of do their thing, and we will get back in touch with them in mid-month once Mars is no longer directly at opposition, and we're able to easily communicate with them again. They will still be doing things. Most of the tasks, though, will be stationary tasks so that they're not having to roam around. But there will still be some science being done. So they unfortunately don't get like a 2-week vacation. They just won't be hearing from us for 2 weeks. But a little bit more exciting, on October 16th, we are scheduled and hoping to launch the Lucy Spacecraft. So the Lucy Spacecraft is being sent out to around Jupiter to study a group of asteroids known as the Trojan Asteroids. So most of the asteroids reside in a region between Mars and Jupiter called the asteroid belt. However, Jupiter has its own little collection of asteroids that orbit around the sun with it, and these are called the Trojan asteroids. And we can see they're in kind of 2 groups. One that we call the leading group. This is kind of ahead of Jupiter as they orbit around the sun. And then we have the trailing group, which kind of follows behind Jupiter. So Lucy's mission is to go and study the Trojan asteroids up close, which has never been done before. This is going to be our first up-close look at these objects. We're very interested in learning more about them because just like the asteroids in the main asteroid belt, these are probably pieces of the building blocks of the planets that just didn't get incorporated into the planets. So studying these, learning about these, tells us what building blocks were available in the very early beginnings of the solar system to learn what made the planets, and that helps us better understand the whole planet formation process. Lucy is going to be breaking a couple of records on her voyage out to Jupiter and Jupiter's Trojan asteroids. It will become it will visit more asteroids than any previous spacecraft has visited. It's also going to be the it is going furthest from the sun for any solar-powered spacecraft to date. So a couple of great missions, or a couple of great achievements there. So Lucy is planned to launch on October 16th. But won't be directly heading out to Jupiter to start. It's going to do 2 kind of speed boosts around Earth to get it up to speed so that it can then go out first to the leading group of Trojans. On its way out there, it will pass by, close by, an asteroid in the asteroid belt. Then it should arrive at the leading group of Trojan asteroids in August of 2027, and we'll spend about a year flying through this group and visiting 4 of the Trojan asteroids up close, before swinging back around and heading over to the trailing group. It should get to the trailing group by March of 2033, where it's going to visit a pair of binary asteroids. So this is 2 asteroids that are orbiting around each other. By the time it's finished its flyby of those 2 in 2033, that will be the official end of the mission, unless it gets an extension, which successful missions usually do, in which case every 6 years it's going to continue to just bounce back and forth between the 2 Trojan asteroid groups and getting as much information as we can. So an exciting new launch happening. All right, bringing it back to the planetarium, we are starting our Spooktober events, where we will have a fun, either spooky or Halloween themed show throughout the month of October. You can see here our show schedule for Spooktober. Lots of great things going on. And then I can finally officially tell you guys about our Halloween event happening on October 30th. This is going to be very similar to the Halloween event we ran last year. So it's going to be a drive-through event. We will have goodie bags with some fun take-home activities, and of course candy as well, because it's Halloween. You gotta have candy. And then we will also have demonstrations set up that you can watch from your car, and we will be doing pumpkin drops again, because I am all for throwing pumpkins off the roof in the name of science. Now, I do know our last event was a huge hit, and thank you to everyone who came out. And because of how successful the event was last year and how quickly we ran out of our goodie bags, we are preparing even more this year. So we are hoping to have enough for everyone who comes to visit, although we can't guarantee that, and it is first come, first receive, I guess. But yeah, that is our Halloween event happening at the end of the month, which I'm very excited for. All right, so that is the end of our What's Up October show. Eli, did we have any questions? All right. Well, if you do have any questions, now's a great time to leave them down in the comments. I know I already showed you the schedule for the month of October, but just to highlight what's coming up over the next week, we have on Saturday our October Constellation Storytime. Next Wednesday is the first of our Spooktober shows with the history of Halloween, which you may not realize actually does have astronomical significance. And then next Saturday will be Beyond Bizarre, looking at the strange things in space. Oops. Why did my Zoom window disappear on the stream? There we go. Okay. That can happen when I screen share, unfortunately. The Zoom will disappear from the stream for a minute. But anyway, we're back. Yeah, not seeing any questions coming through yet. Should we tease some of the activities that are going to be in the Halloween kit? So I think I'm going to go ahead and spoil my favorite one that we're 99% sure is going to be there. I'm still testing out the formulas, but we're going to have a glow-in-the-dark ectoplasm slime activity, which I think is going to be great. It's going to be fantastic. But the idea is we'll have 3 activities in these kits that are all kind of like magical, but showing how science, is magic. If you don't understand what's going on. So a couple of really fun activities in there. As with all of the other activity kits we've done for past events, there will also be coloring pages, activity pages, candy, like I said, so lots of fun stuff. And then we'll have the demonstrations out. We're still There will probably be more than we had last year since we have a lot more people helping us out this year with it. But yeah, I'm excited, and I'm excited that we're able to put together more kits than we did last year. I know we ran out, what was it, like 20 minutes? I definitely underestimated how many people wanted to come out for this event. So we were trying to be much, much better prepared this year. Um, but yeah, all right. Well, I think we will call it there. I'm not seeing any questions come through. So thanks everyone for hanging out with us a little bit tonight. Hopefully you're looking forward to our Spooktober shows. I know I am. We've got some great ones coming up. You can go, again, check out the schedule or check out the events section of our Facebook page. All of the shows are listed there. All right, well, thanks again. We hope you enjoyed, and we will see you next time. Bye, everyone.